Hi guys, in today's video I want to talk about how we can add 10 to 20 kilos to your bench press today. Now that may sound like it's clickbait, but I've had many clients that I've shown this to and we've literally had a 10 to 20 kilo PB on their bench press. Now if you're somebody that's probably already into powerlifting, some of these tips you might already be following. However, if you're new to the gym and you've only really just started lifting, these are the things that you're not really taught. And they're the things that I find that, like I say, especially for someone like me who has really long arms, it's made me be able to bench half decent numbers. So firstly, I want to go over what the bench isn't. And again, this one can be quite controversial. The bench is not a great chest exercise because it doesn't really involve a lot of chest, especially with how people do it, laying flat backed, arms wide. It's why we get a lot of shoulder injuries when people bench, because you're putting too much stress in your shoulder, and it's the same with a push-up. Like, this is the wrong position. In reality, hands need to be closer, elbows tucked down. This way we can actually stretch and use our chest muscles. A great way to find your bench press grip and push-up grip, if you kneel on the floor and just fall forwards, you'll naturally stop yourself and put your hands in the right position. So like for me, thumbs in armpits, that's where we're aiming for. So I want to break down the 3 steps. The first one is body position. The second one is the eccentric, so the barbell descent. And then the third is the concentric, so getting the bar off your chest. And this is where we introduce leg drive. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk through all 3 stages and then some drills you can use to help. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is body position. Now, yes, if you want to be super strict gym bro, you'd lay completely flat. However, I want to talk about putting you in the best mechanical position to move as much weight as possible. Now, you've probably seen like what they call the exorcist position, where people are really super bent over. That isn't necessary. And for a lot of people, it can be uncomfortable because they don't have the spinal flexibility to get into that position. However, we can sort of modify that to get us into a similar position and still get the benefits. So this is how we set up for that position. So I'm going to lay down, and ideally I want the bar in line with my forehead, not my mouth. So I'm here. The first thing I need to do is generate tension in my upper back. So from here, I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to pinch my shoulder blades back and down. And as I lay down, you'll notice there's now a bit of an arch here, and I'm now sat more on my upper traps than the flat of my back. So again, if I go back to a neutral position, that's there. I'm going to pick up, pinch, and I'm now sitting up on my traps. The next thing I'm going to focus on is my feet. So from here, I'm going to step back as far as I can, and then I'm just going to shuffle back to the point where my heels are just off the floor. So from here, I've got tension in my upper back, my lats and my quads. This tells me that I'm in the right position. I've got tension, and the reason why, if I sit up, the reason why that tension is important is I want to absorb the force as I lower it, and I want to be able to exert it as much as possible. I'm trying to make my body a spring, something that as I compress, I can then shoot that back off. You can't do that if your back is flat and your feet are floppy on the floor. You've got no assistance. This way, my body is compact, it's ready to take the weight and exert it. So that's the position. Now let's look at the eccentric or the barbell descent. So again, we've got ourselves nice and tight. And again, for me, I use the knurling. I know if I put my thumbs on the edge of the knurling, my hands are even, and they're pretty much in the position where I need them. From here, with the bar unwrapped, if I keep my hands loose, as I bring it down, I'm trying to pull the bar apart. So from here, I'm doing this technically. Now, obviously, I'm not sliding my hands. I'm gripping the bar tight, but I'm trying to pull out as hard as I can. I'm doing that because I want to turn my triceps on as much as possible. The next thing is I'm not just letting the bar drop, I'm pulling it into me. Because I'm on my traps and my lats are engaged, I'm basically creating a springboard between my lats and my triceps. Pulling apart turns the lats and triceps on. As I pull it down, I'm generating that tension. And that tension is what's going to help me spring the bar off my chest. I'm also not bringing it down here. I'm not letting my elbows flare out. I'm slightly tucking them in. And the correct position for the bar to touch is my lower chest. What I want you to think about is if you get on the lat pull down and you lean back and you row it down to your rib cage, that's essentially what I'm doing, but with the bar. So it's almost kind of like an upside down bent over row. So again, from here, I'm nice and tight. I'm pulling the bar apart and I'm pulling it down to my chest. And you'll see I can't really touch my chest because there's no weight on the bar. There's no resistance for me to fight against. So if I just relax my back a little bit, and again, I'm touching my lower chest slash sternum. Now we can focus on the drive off or the concentric phase. So the last part is how do we get it off our chest? We've generated all this tension. We've got the bar. Do we just want to punch it out? No. We want to use our whole body. And this is where that tension in our legs that we set up at the start is going to come into play. And we're going to use leg drive to help us drive the bar off of us. Now, the most common mistake I see with this is people shoot their hips up, and that takes away the force. We want to use the force to push the bar off of us. So what we've actually got to do is try and drive ourselves up the bench. Now, obviously, with the weight on us, we're not going to shoot up the bench. We're going to redirect it into the barbell. So the two things we're trying to do, as the bar touches, you want to try and stamp your heel down, because remember, it's hovering off the floor, and then you're going to drive with your quads. The best way to visualize this is don't think leg press, think leg extension. So where you sit on the leg extension machine, you raise out. I'm essentially doing the same thing. So I'm going to demonstrate bad form first, and then I'll demonstrate good form and watch what happens to my body. So my back is tight. I've walked my feet back. If I leg press, my bum comes up and I rock. And that's not going to help me push the bar. However, watch what happens now when I think leg extension. I shoot back. In reality, that will be more this. But again, I don't move backwards when I've got a bar on me. From here, as I come down, it fires the bar up. The weight of the bar stops you going that way, but it allows you to redirect. What's important though, especially if you're going for reps, is as I hit that lockout, you've got to keep your back tight. Again, another common mistake is people overshoot, and then all of a sudden you're loose, and when you go for your second rep, you've got no tension. So those three things, create body tension, think spring. When you're bringing the bar down, think pull it apart, pull it down. When you're trying to get it off your chest, stamp and punch. I promise you, if you've been doing standard bodybuilder bench press, if you combine those three tips, you can add 10 to 20 kilos to your PB. Again, if you think you're benching because it gets you a big chest, I hate to break it to you, mechanically, the bench is not the best movement for that. There's no problem adding it in, but you'd be much better off doing like a dumbbell bench or cable flies or cable crossovers to build your chest, because your pecs don't do this, your pecs do this. You can feel it. If you put your hand on your chest and go like this, you'll feel some activation, but if you push your hand across your body and turn your palm facing up, your chest squeezes a lot more. So by all means, still bench, but bench like this, you'll add more systematic stress, which will cause more growth. It's the reason why a lot of people say back squats are the king of all exercises, because it's the systematic stress of all that weight on the body that requires a response for your whole body to get bigger and stronger. It just obviously the legs are the prime movers. In this instance, your whole body's taking the stress. It is, however, your arms, your triceps that actually become the prime movers. Your triceps, lats, chest, and a bit of shoulder. Please go give this a try. Next bench day, try this technique and drop a comment below. Let me know, did you hit a PB? Now, don't be surprised if at first you might not, because it might feel uncomfortable getting in that tense position. But I promise you, if you get used to it, your numbers will start to rocket. If you want any more help, guys, drop me a message, drop me in the comments, or follow me on my Instagram, and you can speak to me direct. Have a good day.